This is the cell that I'm most concerned with at this point. And as we begin to see what's happening with it, with its tracking going directly towards the east, the folks that are in the direct path of this would be the folks that are in Seaford right now. I think it's going to get here a lot sooner than as 7:25. Let me recalculate that, okay, because that storm is moving a lot faster than what that particular slice is indicating. So, okay, so as we begin to track this, this is what we're looking at right now. Right now, we're going to do this tracking, and then we're going to take a look at what's happening with our Laurel cam at this hour. So, if you're in the Branch View community, we anticipated reaching you as early as 7:10. Seaford, prepare for this storm to come stand on your doorsteps as early as 7:17. Georgetown, it looks like it will be a little delayed there, but we are looking for it to hit right around 7:40 to 7:42. Millsboro would then be the next city or town that will be in the direct path of this system, and then that'll be followed quickly by the folks that are in the Daggsboro area. Now, I want to try to take a look at how things are beginning. Well, it's not quite in Laurel. We're seeing a wall of it begin to move its way towards out of Sharptown towards the Laurel area. If we can, let's switch gears real quick and take a look at the cameras in Laurel at this present time to see what's happening visually right now as far as how this is. So we're starting to see the wave. The wave that you see right there, those are waves of heavy rain shower activity that's pushing across the region. The flashes of lightning that you're seeing right now, that is indeed the initial marker of this storm and how strong it is. And right now it has a history of 80-mile-per-hour straight-line winds while it was still deemed a severe thunderstorm threat. And I believe that what you're seeing, those are not only raindrops, but I believe that's hail that's associated with that system right now. That's what we're seeing at this point, is that the hail that's associated with this, that's sliding through. You can see that hail right there. So Seaford, Laurel, and this is just the beginning. So I want you to think about the fact that how blinding that rain is, and how strong those winds are. And this is not even where we're seeing the most potent part of this storm that's still on the other side of Reliance, and it's expected to track its way towards Sycamore, Gums Crossroads, Georgetown, possibly down towards Bryan's Store. This tornado warning is in effect until 7:30 this evening. And I fully anticipate and expect for this storm the tornado warning to stay in effect beyond that, because this is how this entire line is tracking. It's a very dangerous squall line that's beginning to slide through the area. And what it's doing is it's highlighting the fact that this isn't just a one-trick pony as it pertains to the threat that it poses. You see, as I begin to clear this out, I want you to notice something over here, okay? And I'm using the arrow to illustrate it for you. See, we have this entire line right here, all right? This entire line is bringing with it a line of threatening weather that's already prompted the severe thunderstorm warning that's active in our immediate area. And the cell that I'm most concerned with that I've been tracking is the one that's headed towards the Seaford area. And as I begin to kind of break this up, I want to see if we can see the reflectivity here. I'm going to freeze it on the last frame for you right there. We're still seeing a very strong signature. In fact, let me change this up in its more significant way. And I'm going to go straight to our velocity scope and see what's happening here. So here's the deal about this. When we're looking at this, we're watching out to see if we have a mixture of red and green close to one another. That indicates the possibility of circulation. Right now, we have just straight line winds at this present time. And so it's looking like we're seeing this column of wind right here. This is where we're starting to see that significant amount of wind that's prompting concern, along with the hail, with 75 to 80 mile per hour winds. It's looking more straight line wind thus far. I'm a little concerned right here in this area. I want to zoom in on that real quick because I want to make sure that when we're seeing, we're not seeing a significant coupling that's happening here, but we want to begin to kind of feel as to what's happening. Oh, gate to gate shear 3, okay. And we're looking at velocity at 3. Okay, so right now it's not looking like it's significant enough for the wind signature to give us an indication as to what's happening with it. But now you can see how this is overtaking the entire western portions of the area. Now I want to switch back here soon as we're seeing it push through, And we've had reports of hail associated with this system, but we're starting to see it move into, let's say, the Laurel area. And so, guys, if you could, let's go back to another one, a look at the Laurel camera and see what's happening from a live rendition. This is what it looks like graphic-wise. Now we're going to switch gears and show you what it looks like outside right now. We are looking at a significant amount of rain that's pushing through. I'm looking at a rate of at least about an inch per hour. That's what I can see from an estimate of what's happening with this video at this present time. This is focusing towards the ground right now, and this is live of what's happening, courtesy of our Tyndall Casual Furniture camera, live of what's happening in the Laurel area. And this is just the beginning of it begin to move into the area, because when you switch back to the graphics right now, if you switch back to what's happening with the graphics, what you'll notice here is that this is just the beginning of what's happening towards Laurel. So when we push this back and begin to move this slowly and steadily, I'm controlling it right now, we can see that it's approaching quickly with the front edge of this beginning to move through. This is the front edge of it right here that we're highlighting with the arrows. That front edge is just outside of Bacon and then going towards the Laurel area. But notice this, as we pull out more so, we can see this is overtaking Chesapeake Heights as well as down towards the Salisbury area. So we have multiple concerns that reach as far north as Seaford, White River Estates, Ralph's, Delmar, but also reaches down towards Salisbury at Chesapeake Heights in those areas. Guys, if you're able to, in the control room, I would love for you to see if you can go to one of our Salisbury cameras to see what it looks like there at this present time. Laurel, you are under this. You're under this at this present time. Here's a view of what's happening with our Salisbury camera. And we are seeing right now, this is just the beginning. So that sunlight that you see in Salisbury, that's a precursor to feeding this storm as it pushes through. So just because it's calm now, that doesn't mean that you're out of danger. Actually, it could mean the opposite. Indeed, if this storm begins to feed on that heat energy. Let's come back to the radar real quick. And guys, if you could, I want you to toggle back between what's happening with Laurel as well as see if we can get something that's close towards Laurel. And also we may want to take a look at both Laurel cameras. We have two Laurel cameras. Let's try to see if we can take a look out of both of those Laurel cameras, if you don't mind. So along Highway 13, we're starting to see a wall of rain that's causing significant problems with visibility from Seaford down towards Laurel and towards the Delmar area. The folks that live in the Ralphs community, I need for you to keep these things in mind. It's an acronym, D-U-C-K. I need you to go downstairs, wherever home you're in, downstairs, underneath something, center of your home, because that's where you usually have the strongest reinforcement in your home, and then keep away from windows. It's the flying debris that cause significant problems, and of course more of your damage and more of your deaths and injuries. But not only that, because as things are flying about outside, things that may seem harmless per se, but when you have an 80-mile-per-hour wind that could pick up even something as minute as a straw, it can become a injurious projectile close to you, or possibly crashing through a window in either case. So the circulation is looking even stronger over here towards the Seaford area and along Highway 13, and we anticipate it continue to be the case for us. Right now with the Delaware Emergency Management Organization, we have the potential tornado near Laurel, or 12 miles east of Hurlock, moving east at about 50 miles per hour. We're looking at 2-inch diameter hail. Impacted will be Georgetown, Seaford, Millsboro, Laurel, Milton, Delmar, Dagsboro, Sycamore, Gumboro, Blades, and Bethel. So it's moving to the east at 50 miles per hour. That's a new calculation. Let's freeze it on the frame where we are right now, 50 mile per hour. So as we begin to track this, I'm widening the scope so we can get the latest tracking of this entire squall line, actually. And as it begins to push through, we're looking forward to affect the folks in Georgetown, Berlin, Ocean Pines, and Ocean View immediately. That's what the path is. But the particular cell of concern that I have that's causing the most concern for circulation is really near the Seaford area. And with that cell moving at approximately 50 miles per hour, I want to widen the scope of this, get a better view of what's happening here. Let's redo this for a moment. Move this over towards the left of your screen. And now we're going to begin to track this at 50 miles an hour. It's a very rapid moving storm. All right. So now I'm feeling very confident about the particular cell that we're tracking and its path and its timing at this point. So Beaver Dam Heights, we're looking for you to receive the brunt of the storm as early as within the next 3 to 4 minutes, okay? Actually, it's happening, 3 to 4 minutes. And then Bryant Park, you'll also be affected by this, but now it's moved up the timeline where this line is going to begin to impact the folks that live in the immediate Georgetown area. And then we're going to see it begin to affect the folks in Bullseye community and then possibly towards Lewis. Now, we're seeing the circulation to the south of Laurel. Let's see if we can pull up those Laurel cameras. I want to go back to back to see what's happening right here in Laurel at this present time. So here's a view of what's happening with Laurel at this point. So this is viewing it. We're looking at one aspect of it, and we're starting to see the trees. If you see at the bottom of your screen, we're seeing the trees that are pushing through. If you're able to rotate that around, guys, go ahead and do that. And we're seeing, the sheets of rain that's causing a significant problem as far as visibility is concerned, and the winds are just howling and moving the trees in a massive way. Yeah, that's it. So what you see at the bottom of your screen there, those trees are bending. Those aren't bushes. Those are fully upright, strong trees that are being moved effortlessly with this storm system that's pushing through our immediate area. And with that, we see wave upon wave of heavy rainfall that's beginning to make its impact throughout the area in such a way that we're seeing the blinding rain that's happening at this particular point. We come back to what's happening with our tracking of this, and really it's the tracking that we want to come back to and show you what's happening there. We have a new track that we want to pass along to you. If you are in the Cannon community, you have about a minute to seek shelter right now. We're already seeing it affect the folks in Bryant Park along Highway 13 and in the immediate Laurel area. This is where we just saw visually what's happening in the Laurel area as this is beginning to slide across. We're expecting for this to begin to move towards Collins Pond Acres at about 7:21. And then moving into the immediate Georgetown area by 7:29, then in Lewis at 7:47 for us actually in the Lewis area as it's tracking more so towards the east. Now the other folks that are in the path of this could be Millsboro as well as Herring Landing and over towards Ocean View with this wall that's sliding across. Now, the irony here is that as it began to push across the Chesapeake Bay area, a lot of folks are under the false impression that when storms come across the water, they die out immediately or expectedly. That's not the case. And this is one of those cases where the storm actually got stronger as it emerged on the other side of the Chesapeake Bay area. Obviously, we're talking about travel along the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, not advisable whatsoever because the winds are howling at this point. In fact, it should be shut down totally at this juncture. If you're in the Del Mar community right now, we're looking at a significant amount of ponding that's going to be happening in your area. And also over towards Gumboro, we're going to see the weather conditions begin to deteriorate very immediately, very quickly in our area. So let's go right back to what's happening with, let's take a look at what's happening in Laurel once again, just real quick to change gears here and show what's happening live right now in Laurel. And we have, at this point, the rain that's beginning to bend the trees at its will at this point. And we see that this cell is continuing to stay very strong in our immediate area as we begin to show you what's happening here. So now what I will do is we're going to show you the streets and the areas that are being affected right now. They're being impacted immediately with this system. We're going in more detail here. So, for example, we're looking at the Woodland community. We're going to the Woodland community right now, as well as Richard Heights and over towards Branchview. That's where we're seeing the heaviest amount of rain and possible wind that's pushing through here. Now, over towards Laurel right here, this is where we're seeing places like Sandy Fort, Midnight Thicket, Lake Pines, Hearns Crossroads, and Laurel. This is where we're underneath this particular area of downpours that's prompting concern for damaging winds as well as heavy downpours. I'm wondering about the rain rate here as well. And as you take a look at the possible rain rate in this area, there we go. I'm going to try to see what's happening here. We're seeing that in some areas, this cell, we have just different portions of this that's actually even more so. We actually see a possibility of of a 10-inch precipitation rate in some areas. This is near north of low at this present time. I'm going to begin to highlight what's happening right here in this area that I'm highlighting for you right here with the arrows. We're going to dig into that and see what kind of a rate that we're coming up here for that. It's looking at possibly 10, 15. That seems a little inflated, but because it's so intense in such a short period of time, it's not going to last for an entire hour. But if that rate stayed in place for an entire hour, that's the kind of possibility of flooding that we are seeing, or that we would see. Now, because we've already had a significant amount of rain that fell initially throughout portions of Gunboro and in those areas, we could see some reinitiating of flash flooding or streetwise flooding in some areas as a result of this system that's pushing through. I'm pulling back out again to kind of show what's happening here and how this all developed. And we want to highlight the latest as far as the warnings are concerned. So, and recapping where we are presently at this point, we have an active tornado warning. It is in effect for Sussex County. This is the area of concern right now, which is actually the heart of the entire county. This is an entire line that began to push its way across Cambridge and that area from Vienna and Denton. And then as it began to emerge into the western portions of Sussex County, it began to become stronger, and even more so as it begins to march towards our area to Seaford, going towards Lowe's Crossroad. And now we're starting to see this cell that's sliding across Pittsfield and along Highway 50, and it looks like it's going to be targeting Ocean Pines at this present time. The cell that's continuing to show at least some aspects of tornadic circulation is actually emerging out of Seaford. Looks like it's going to be moving over towards Georgetown. Now, because it's moving towards Georgetown, I just need for you to give me a moment real quick, because we have a tremendous amount of people that speak Spanish in Georgetown, so I need to give them some information just briefly, okay? Ahora mismo tenemos un aviso de tornado. Ahora mismo continúan, tomen a las 7:30. 80 millas por hora, ráfagas 80 millas por hora. Ganzino también, mira para información, visita de página de Facebook. So please visit our Facebook page if you want more information in Spanish, as we're updating that for you as we speak. Now back to our English-speaking folks. We're seeing this across Lowe's Crossroads. It's crossing Highway 13 and down towards Pittsfield. It's looking more and more like it's going to be a bit of a problem there. I think, if I'm seeing this correctly, I'm going to freeze it on the last frame and zoom in to give it a more tight look here. I believe over towards Pittsfield, yes, we are seeing this. So let's begin to kind of track some of this stuff right now, okay? Now, that's not going to show me it fast enough. Let's do it a different way. All right, so as this is tracking, we're looking for it to move through Carytown and Selbyville, all right? And I'm going to begin to erase this out of the way and pull back out here so we can get a better view, because this storm is moving at such a rapid rate that we want to give a true rendition as far as the timing of this cell is concerned. So what we're looking at this point is it making its way into Carytown, followed immediately by Selbyville, Ocean Pines, and Ocean City. Now that's this particular trajectory of the most southern cell right here. And think of it as color-coded here, because with the darker reds, and if it's a pink color in here, that's where we're going to slice those. Anything that pops up pink with this, we're going to do a three-dimensional slice of it to see just how tall that storm is. Now you see how it jumped from here to here? This is actually picking up more momentum, so we're going to have to recalculate this. And I just ask that you be a little bit patient with this, because these storms are not moving in a straight line path, nor are they moving at a straight line pace. And that's typically what happens when it comes to severe storms, because they will wane and they will strengthen and they will accelerate, and then they'll slow down sometimes. Now earlier, our storms slowed down tremendously, and that allowed for more in the way of flooding concerns or problems. But now we really have to track this entire wave here like this. All right. So the difference in the tracking that I'm doing right now, this is actually dealing with a squall line of activity that's pushing through. So I'm not just taking a look at what's happening with this particular cell, the dark red here, or the dark red that's right at that junction where you have Highway 9 and 13 that's going meeting together. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. But right now, we're looking at this entire wave as a whole as it pushes across Frankfort, Berlin, Ocean Pines, Ocean View. We're anticipating that the tornado warning that we have active until 7:30 for Sussex County, more than likely is going to stay active, and we'll stay with this as long as we have that tornado warning in place. Ocean View, 7:42. Bonham Hills at 7:48. Communities that are being affected right now, if you are anywhere near Highway 9 and where you see 9 and 13 cross. I'm zooming in on that right now, right here near Laurel. This is where you have some of the most active storms that's pushing across in Laurel, Lakeside Manor, Lake Pines, and Sandy Fork. And we're still getting that indicator right here, as I illustrated for you. We're still getting the indicator of a significant hail producer. Now, this hail signature that you see here, that's significant because we're talking about 2-inch diameter hail that's being produced with this storm that already has a history of moving rapidly at about 50 miles per hour. And you combine that with 80 mile per hour wind gust. And this entire cell here that I'm showing you, this entire cell is not necessarily waning in its strength. You guys down in the control room, are you guys able to pull up that Laurel camera at all anymore? Because I would love to see what's happening in Laurel right now, if we're able to. So they're working on that right now. Well, why isn't it working? Well, folks, we're talking about a severe storm and a possible tornado. That would cause some problems with equipment that, would otherwise work flawlessly for us, but we have to be mindful of that. So with this cell, since it's so potent, we're going to track that more so towards the east, widen the scope of it a little bit more, so we can get a true rendition of the amount as its speed, and that's still not wide enough. Okay, so this storm is moving so fast, and it's jumping. It's literally jumping from frame to frame in such a fast and dramatic manner that it's hard for us to go ahead and track how fast that's going to begin to push on through. All right, so now we have up the bat. The folks that are in Bryan's store, prepare yourself at least within the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then Millsboro, and then Bullseye, as well as Long Neck. And so that's where we're looking now. Now we take a look at what's happening over towards Laurel, and we're looking at, it's looking more and more, as I take a look at this video, it's looking more and more like it's more of a straight line event at this particular point. With heavy downpours, we're rotating it around. Now I can see that wave, that initial wall that's still pushing across the region. Now the waviness that you see on the camera, that's because of the tremendous amount of rain that's falling at such a rapid rate that it's changing the focus of the camera just ever so slightly. But I'm not seeing, I see a rainbow at this point. I don't see a particular shaft that would indicate a possible funnel cloud or a touchdown from tornadic activity of any sort. But I do see rain shaft activity, which is more characteristic of supercell thunderstorms as they begin to push through the immediate area. So in that sense, that's a bit of good news. But it's slowing down over Laurel. So I'm expecting for the folks in Laurel, I need for you to brace yourself for immediate concerns for flooding and flash flooding in that area. So if you live in a community that typically has a drainage problem, then and you're living near the Laurel area, or if you're anywhere near Highway 9 or 9 and 13 cross, that's where I need for you to be mindful of that possibility. And not just there, but we're looking at that same slow down effect that's happening for the folks that are to our south end portions of Carytown. In fact, as you begin to change gears here and go back to our maps, you'll notice now I'm starting to pick up on this right here near Selbyville, okay? So the communities that are, and first of all, this is highway right here. This is Highway 113 right here, okay? And this is Delaware. This down here, this is actually in Maryland, and it's just approaching Selbyville. So it's this area that's producing that kind of drenching rate of rain that's between 10 to 15 inches per hour, which is quite remarkable from this system, or any system for that matter. So that's what's approaching the folks coming in out of the west. Let me make sure I'm going to clear something out real quick, because I believe we're at 726 at this point. I want to highlight what's happening with these warnings right now to kind of show you what's happening here. Now, just so you'll be updated on what's happening. We have the tornado warning that is in effect at the very least for the next 4 minutes throughout all of Sussex. Now, this is a radar indicated rotation that's associated with this. As I pop the radar back on here just like that, what you'll notice is that we're still seeing a strong signature for a hail-producing storm right here that you see on the left side of your screen. It's now affecting the folks in Bryan Store, Lowell's Crossroads, and it's moving, according to the last rendition that we're seeing here. We're looking at it on the move at approximately 40 to 50 miles per hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight and really focus on that particular cell. And then as we begin to track it over towards the east pretty steadily here, we're looking at it moving into places like Cross Keys. Then the next community affected by that will be Millsboro. The folks in Bullseye who are just now trying to recover from the heavy downpours that we had earlier this afternoon. Now we have another wave that's pushing through there as well as Long Neck. And then right around the 8 o'clock hour, it looks like the folks that are in Ocean View are going to be in the path of this as well. I am seeing this, this entire line to begin to wane a little bit in its strength. And that's good. And part of that is indicative of the fact that we are going to see, with the sun going down, the access to that thermodynamic energy that would help to fuel these storms and keep them going strong. Well, first of all, the first wave of tornadic activity we had earlier this afternoon, that's already drawn from the well, so to speak, okay? And so there's only so much energy that the atmosphere is going to have at one short given period of time before it can re-up with additional sunshine. Well, we had just a touch of sunshine, and that's all it took to really touch this thing off. Just a touch of sunshine that began to allow for this to reinvigorate itself as it crossed the Chesapeake Bay area. But now that the sun's going down and we're already seeing that this storm is using up its energy right now, a lot of times with these supercell thunderstorms is that if they start to slow down, they begin to do what's a sort of an autophagy type of a thing. Self-devouring is the way that you would kind of describe that as it pushes across, because even with our hail signature, it's slowed down. When the hailstones are moving more rapidly, just one of the tricks of the trade I'm about to share with you. When the hailstones are moving more rapidly, it usually indicates heavier hail as well as bigger hail size, but it's slowed down. So that's a small little hint from an analytical standpoint that we are indeed starting to see this die down a bit, which is really ideally what we want to happen with this system that's pushing through. Charlie, if you could, go ahead and continue to watch that, because I can't see all of the warnings underneath all of this. But if they indeed cancel the tornado warning and they don't reinitiate another one, let me know if you would. I've got Charlie Sakaitis in the studio with me. He's monitoring what's happening. If you're seeing something, be sure you send it in with our social media pages. We want to show what you see after the storm passes you by, not while it's approaching you, okay? So we want safety first more than anything else. So once again, this tornado warning was initiated for us until about 7:34 this evening for Sussex County, and we've seen portions of this polygon area of concern allowed to expire at this point. Now, what you may hear in the background is actually we're seeing and hearing the rumbling of this severe storm system that's actually happening in the Milton area, which is where our studios are located. So as we take a look at this, I want to take one more view of what's happening out towards the Laurel area, because we still are looking at this highlight right here for Laurel, indicating that we have heavy downpours that's actually beginning to affect, that's continuing to affect the folks that are in Laurel at this present time. And as we begin to adjust the tracking of this, I'm going to go ahead and begin to push this out of the way just briefly. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so right now we're looking like it's going to, they've allowed for the tornado warning to expire. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this out of the way and put this back into motion as far as what's happening with the movement of this at this point. As we begin to come to a close, a couple of things we need for you to keep in mind. We are staying under a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll continue to crawl information at the bottom of your screen. We actively are under a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight. We're still seeing hail being formed with several locations, and some heavy downpours is causing localized flooding. We will update you throughout the night, and if there's another tornado warning issued for our area, we'll break into programming then. I'm Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams. Here at the First Alert Weather Center, we now return to our regularly scheduled programming.